What's going on, traders? How we doing out there? Welcome to the SPACs Attack. We got another great show for you guys. We're going to talk a lot about some headlines. We're going to get into maybe some deal talk, NGAB, FPAC rumors, and of course, we're going to also get into some top stocks. You guys already know where you guys are at. These are the SPACs Attack, and we're going to talk a little bit about the top SPACs right now on the Money Mitch radar. Chris has some deep dive for you guys. Like always, smash the like. Let's get this party started. That's what it's all about here on the SPACs Attack, guys. It's all about you guys out there. So let's go ahead and let's get into my man, the brains to this show, Chrisopedia.
Hey, what's going on, Mitch? Happy to be here. Yeah, no guest interview today, so we'll go ahead and take a look at, that watch list, some of the call outs here on some SPACs that are moving, ones that could move, and then maybe get to some ticker time, So if we can get to, I don't know, what do you say, 50 or 75 likes here, we can definitely pull some tickers from the chat at the end of the show.
Yeah, definitely. We got over 83 people watching on our Twitter right now. Definitely, guys, step on over to the YouTube. That's where the most active chat is. And if you guys want us to check out a SPAC, definitely go ahead and hit us up in the chat. We'll definitely take a look at it towards the end. We're going to get also towards our watch list, see what stocks are moving. We got some big movers right now. Top mover up about 9%. We'll get into that in our headlines. So like always, Chris, let's go ahead and take us back to the headlines.
All right. Yeah. Time to dive into some headlines. So up first, talking, some merger votes. We have FTOC completing that merger with Payoneer. So ticker will change over to PAYO. No date set for that yet. And then the merger AACQ approved with Origin Materials will trade as ORGN. Again, no date set for that one. And then ASPL setting a vote date of July 12th with its merger of Wheels Up. So that July calendar, as I said yesterday, starting to fill up nicely. We've got about a dozen deals with July vote dates. And, I think that continues to get added to. Then two recent deals. Just want to talk a little bit about redemptions. We started getting into that the other day. So that FTIV merger with Perella Weinberg. No redemption of shares, which of course is a good thing since shares were already trading at $12. Hopefully no one wanted to trade their shares in for $10 net asset value. But that merger TBA with Iron Source, we did see around 18% of shares traded in, redeemed, for the net asset value. So that's, 18% less shares going forward, and also means less money for Iron Source as part of that SPAC deal. TBA trading at 10.01. So another example of how these SPACs not trading, up closer to 11. We are seeing heavy redemptions. Then we turn to some news today. We have HIMS, HIMS, Hims and Hers acquiring Apostrophe. This is a personalized dermatology. It's a brand that they think is going to fit in well with the company, Gen Z and millennial customers. They have a platform, for treatments, topical formulas, oral medications. So it's another move here by Hims and Hers. Remember, they also have a line coming from Alex Rodriguez. And then they also announced that marketing and product partnership with Miley Cyrus, which I called out and I think could be good for brand exposure for them. So Hims and Hers actually on my watch list here, if it can dip again down into the $11 range. But interesting move here, another acquisition. Then one of the most popular SPACs out there to talk about, of course, Clover Health, CLOV. So a press release out today that they plan on expanding into 101 new markets. That's a sizable announcement. They currently offer Medicare Advantage plans in 108 counties, over 66,000 members. So that new expansion is going to bring in an additional 101 counties. 94 are in their existing states, and then 7 are in Alabama, which will be a new state for the company. And then the company also saying they have plans, in 4 additional states that don't have new territories being added. So 9 states total, plans to expand to more and covering more counties. So positive news out there from CLOV, with that press release. Then we have LAZR, Luminar Technologies, as Mitch noted, one of our big movers out there, up about 10% right now. So Luminar Technologies announcing that it will be standard on Volvo Cars' upcoming electric flagship vehicle. So this is the key, right? Rather than these Lidar companies having to, sign deals after the fact, Luminar is actually getting a deal where their Lidar detectors are going to be built in to those upcoming Volvo electric vehicles. So this is the electric vehicle will be unveiled in 2022. And Luminar's CEO is actually joining Volvo Cars at an upcoming event on June 30th, which is next week, where the companies will discuss, that future product and its technology roadmap. So keep an eye out, LAZR, these LiDAR companies. That's great news right there. And then Blade, BLDE, more news out, up to 60,000 hours of flight time a year on its electric vertical aircraft beginning in 2026 for the Florida and West Coast markets. That's a deal with Embraer's Eve unit. So Blade, lots of news out recently. And we have Arrival, ARVL, which was a hot one last week, and shares are up 4% today. They announced a partnership with ST Microelectronics. So a decent move there for Arrival. We're going to dive into that one in more detail, on a future show. We had Arrival on. It's been a favorite of, the host here. Positive news out there for them. And then I want to remind everyone, we do have an event today, SRNG, Soaring Eagle. That's the SPAC bringing Ginkgo Bioworks public. There is a investor day today, which I called out last week. I think, we hear more details on why Ginkgo Bioworks, all those different partnerships in different segments, from cannabis to plant-based food to, working with agriculture giants. So, definitely interesting. And I think that could be a big catalyst today for SRNG. Our deal announcement yesterday, NGAB, shares ended the day up 1%. And we do have a couple rumors and a couple deals to dive into. So up first, we have ISOS is rumored to be bringing Bolero public. So this is a SPAC led by 2 former executives of World Wrestling Entertainment. Bolero is the owner of AMF and Bullmore Lanes brands. So they have more than 12,000 lanes, 300 venues, 28 million customers annually. One of the biggest bowling companies out there, several partnerships, and they, this could be a large reopening play, right? So ISOS getting a rumor here. Deal has not been announced yet. We did see shares trade up a little bit yesterday, but this is another one. Shares trading at $9.75, where we could quickly have that gap filled, on a deal announcement, getting it closer to the $10 level. And as I said, it could be a reopening play, which could attract investors. And then our other rumor, MBAC, Bloomberg reporting that Synoverse, a Carlyle-backed messaging company, in talks to go public with that SPAC, MBAC. Don't know a ton about this company, so dive more into that later or with the deal announcement. But definitely keep an eye out. Again, these Bloomberg rumors have been pretty spot on. Some of them have been taking a little bit longer to actually get, the deal announcement here. And then we turn to our deals. So announced, around an hour and a half ago before the show started, we have ENFA. This one was rumored to be bringing BuzzFeed public before. That deal has been officially announced. So ENFA, a merger with BuzzFeed, which calls itself a leading culture-defining platform for digital content and commerce. As part of the transaction, BuzzFeed will acquire Complex Networks, which is aimed at millennials and Gen Z. With that acquisition, BuzzFeed believes it will be a leader of that next generation of media, a strong portfolio of brands in key categories like fashion, food, music, and sports, and also lifestyle. Transaction to close in the fourth quarter. The new ticker will be BZFD for BuzzFeed, which I actually think could be a strong ticker for them. That portfolio now will be Complex Networks, BuzzFeed News, HuffPost, and BuzzFeed Entertainment. Also tasty lifestyle brands. So a decent portfolio of digital content, again, heavily aimed at Gen Z and millennials. They had positive net earnings, compounded annual growth of 26%. It looks like 806 million minutes per month across their properties. Revenue projected to grow 24% this year to $521 million. And fiscal 2022, $654 million. This deal being done at an enterprise value of $1.53 billion. And then our other deal today, we have IACB. So this is a merger for Innovid. Innovid stands for Innovation and Video. This is the world's largest independent ad delivery platform for connected television. Current investors include Goldman Sachs and Sequoia Capital, expected to close in the fourth quarter. So founded in 2008, Innovid provides advertisers with a platform for that targeted advertising on connected television, mobile television, and desktop television. They're the only company with an ad server purpose-built for connected TV. They already have infrastructure that's used for platforms including Roku and Hulu. They also have a partnership with Comcast for ads delivered on the Peacock streaming platform. Innovid was the first and only company to have an interactive Super Bowl ad launch. So that's a key for Innovid here. A $200 billion television advertising market that they see shifting from linear television to connected television. So they think that they can grow tremendously in that market. They focus heavily on the top 200 television advertisers, which actually make up 75% of the ad spending dollars here in the US. They work with 40% of those top 200 advertisers. They plan on growing internationally going forward. Revenue of $69 million in fiscal 2020, forecasting revenue to grow 38% to $95 million this fiscal year, and $130 million in fiscal 2022. Their existing clients represent 90% of revenue, and they have 80% gross margins, a goal of hitting a range of 80 to 85%. So high gross margins from this company in a highly attractive growing category. IACB, the merger today, shares now about flat at $9.92. This is one I'm watching. You've heard Mitch and I both talk about this, targeted advertising. We've seen several of those companies go public. We've got Pubmatic that Mitch had on, Money Mitch. We've talked PubM. We've talked, Trade Desk, some of these other companies across the different Benzinga shows. What do you think, Mitch? I know you're a big fan. Connected TV, and I mean those 80% gross margins. Gotta love that. And working with 40% of the top 200 advertisers. I mean, that's a huge customer base, for the U.S. market here.
Yeah, definitely something that it's definitely going to put it on my interest. You guys know how I like that targeted ad sector. I'll tell you one thing. I'm actually going to be talking about it a little bit later today. So you guys will see exactly why I like this area so much. And really, I mean, if you take a look at the biggest names in advertisement, right? We were talking maybe Google, Facebook. Look at what they talked about in their earnings call. What did they say really stood out that surprised them was that advertisement revenue and how it had jumped so much. I think, one of the things that a lot of people thought about when the pandemic came was that ads were just going to go completely away. No, but what actually happened was it's not that they went completely away. Yes, money went away for a little while, but then money got smart. It said, let's start focusing on targeted ads versus just putting out ads out there on linear TV. And if that's what's going to be the move, I think you're going to start seeing a bunch of new companies step up in here. It's not just one, because the solutions can be done. And that's why we see multiple companies really taking off. The leader in this one, so you guys can always watch it to me, and I think Chris would probably agree to this one, would be Trade Desk, the Trade Desk, because they're definitely the highest kind of market cap, have the highest market share, but then everyone falls underneath them. So let's go ahead and let's watch that. See how they go ahead and kind of get some. Chris, I think you mentioned to me on this one that they have some kind of deal. They also work with Roku.
Yeah, so Innovid actually has a partnership with Trade Desk. And then, they provide the platform for ads for Roku and Hulu. So, I mean, when you talk about some of the biggest players out there, Roku and Hulu, obviously well known, and Innovid actually helps get ads onto their platform. And then they also work with Peacock, right? The new streaming platform from NBC, Comcast. They actually have some exclusive deals as far as the Comcast and the Peacock stuff goes. So, as Mitch said, there's many players. So some of these platforms use more than one company, right? But Innovid also getting some exclusive deals, which could help them stand out in the market. So definitely what I'm watching and ready to dive more into here.
Definitely interesting, Chris, that you note that about the Peacock, because if you guys know, I mean, Comcast actually gives you a kind of on-demand box that you can get Peacock for free if you're an internet user for Comcast. So essentially, all the internet users could essentially become Peacock users, which would get these targeted ads.
And let's not forget that NBC and Peacock have the rights to the Olympics coming up in July and August. They already said that, there's record advertising dollars that NBC has recognized. So if you connect the dots, NBC seeing strong advertising demand, Innovid providing ads for Peacock. I think, there's some upside there moving forward with the Olympics. So definitely on my radar here.
Definitely, guys. Let's go ahead and let's get into a little bit of our watch list here. Then we're going to get into some of the deep dive that Chris has. And then we'll talk a little bit about some top stocks that I'm taking a look at. Some you probably have heard about. And I can give some other names. We can go into maybe some honorable mentions. Chris and I always got a little bit of honor in us. So we'll definitely take a look here. Let's get into the watch list. Take a look at what's moving out there. I'll let Chris call out if there's any catalysts, and I'll take a look at it technically. But like always, guys, let's take a look at the watch list. Yeah, every time. I need that song on blast. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into our watch list to see what we got out there. What's moving? What's on the move? Of course, I talked about it. 9%, 9.6 now. Lidar, LAZR, Lumineer Technologies, really taking a lift today. Really, Chris talked about it. It was off of that Volvo news. And I was speaking about it on a Twitter space yesterday, Chris. I was like, that's my question. There's so many companies stepping up and Lidar is that it's kind of hard really to pick a winner. I mean, I've seen so many investor presentations. I've seen so many kind of stats on this. To tell you the truth, it gets me to the point where there's so many that I can't pick a winner. And when I can't pick a winner, a lot of times what I either want to do is I want to own them all, so that if one of them really takes off, I mean, hey, I can just sell the other ones for whatever they're at and take the big gain on that one. Or I can try to pick one and try to pick a winner. Like you've seen here, I'm even struggling trying to pick a winner. And so I throw it to you, Chris. What are you thinking, man? Do you think you have the winner, or do you think you're like me, still a little bit trying to figure it out?
You know, I'm a little bit like you, where I think there's too many here. It's hard to pick just one. The two that I lean the most towards are Luminar and Velodyne. You know, they're kind of the market leaders. Velodyne actually has shipped more sensors. I think they have some of the stronger relationships. I also like that Velodyne, you know, shares have pulled back here, so better buying opportunity. LAZR, though, I mean, has been, you know, one of the leaders in that market in terms of, you know, share appreciation since the SPAC deal, which I think, you know, signals that there's strong demand from shareholders. People want to be in this one. And that Volvo deal today, I think is huge, right? I mean, oh, and then oust your Lidar. And then we had the deal announcement, you know, 2 days ago for the company that's working on Lidar, you know, aimed outside of auto, right? So that's another thing. These companies are focused on, you know, auto Lidar, but there's so many areas that Lidar can capture. Yep, and AJ calling out Ava, which could have partnership with Apple. I mean, there's so many moving parts here, and that's the other thing is, you know, the deal. Look at what the deal with Volvo did for Luminar today. Can you imagine if one of these LiDAR companies ends up getting a deal with Apple, or eventually if Tesla comes around and says, hey, guys, we actually are going to use LiDAR, you know, because there's been some rumors of that, too, after hating on LiDAR. I mean, LiDAR is just such a big market where I almost do want to own them all. But, you know, yeah.
This guy WK, man.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just say on I-75 in Miami, I used to definitely look for helicopters, not look for police cars.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. LiDAR is
the future, man. The future of LiDAR, bro.
Yeah.
You can't get away from them.
Such a growing market. And, you know, there's so many items that are going to use it that I'm at the point where I want to own them all. But at this point, just trying to pick a couple winners.
Chris, I think I hear something.
What do you hear?
Something. The dogs are barking. Bill's talking about the dogs are barking.
Talking about Ride. Oh,
talking
man.
about Ride.
We can't get away from that one.
No, we can't. We had some fun yesterday talking about Ride and maybe potential things that could happen for Ride. So, Bill, if you didn't catch that show, I definitely check out the end of the show yesterday when we talked about Ride. But I had some fun. Yeah, you know, when the dogs go barking, the dogs go barking. That's for sure. Let's keep it going, guys. Microvision, another one there being mentioned by Jim. Definitely we could take a look here. But really, like I mentioned, guys, there's just so many. And that's what I have to really think about. When there's so many, it's hard to really see these companies because there's not really one just like forefront, right? Like just saying like, hey, we already got all these cars. We're into cars and we're coming out. That's what I want to hear. I don't know about you, Chris, but that's what I want to hear. I want to hear a partnership with a company like this, let's say Volvo, but actually saying like, hey, November 2021, you're going to start seeing these inside the vehicle. And I think that's the first step. Maybe it's not even fully active. Maybe it's just collecting data, but at least inside the vehicle to really start mastering the autonomous vehicle. And I think that's what needs to happen here. So we'll see if it happens, you know. Maybe you can't even use it at first, but it's just collecting the data and it's inside one of these major OEM producers. And I think that's something to keep on watch. All right, let's keep going. Let's go to another one. PAAC. I don't know what's going on. I've been pointing it out, right?
Yeah, you called this one out the past 2 days. I mean, yesterday it was up like 5 or 6%, up another 10% today. I mean, look at that move. Mitch, the thing I'll say with this one is I can't wait until they get the new name and the ticker changeover. Because look at that ticker and that company name, Property Solutions. I mean,
what would you think?
I mean, off the top. It sounds like a real estate play, right?
Yeah, property management.
Nothing in Property Solutions tells me electric vehicle. Now, once they get the Faraday Future, name and really get some brand awareness, I think it just goes up more. But this is one of those EV companies working on, more of the high-end vehicles, which I think there's still a market for, right? I mean, let's face it, anyone who's driving high-end, ICE cars right now might want to switch to high-end electric cars. So, it's kind of that, translation there. So I'm a fan of Faraday. And yeah, I mean, Mitch, you've been spot on with these moves over the past week.
You know what I think Faraday needs to do, Chris? They need to get with some major artists to support it. Because I think this is one of those vehicles that really, if this could be autonomous and you can just sit in the back, maybe even having your driver just sit in the front, that kind of thing. That's what I see this vehicle more all on.
Yeah, with that giant TV in the back, those lounging chairs. I mean,
I'm sitting in the back.
That. Like, yeah, I want to sit in the back. I don't want to drive this thing.
Like, there's too many cars that you always want to be in the driver's seat. This is the one of those few cars that you're like, yo, just throw me in the back, man. Yeah. I just want to sit in the back seat.
We don't even have to drive anywhere. Yeah, we can just sit in the driveway. I just want to be in the back of this car. I mean, that TV, that room, like it's totally different experience.
Definitely. Look, Playboy up today after that interview yesterday. Not looking too bad. A little bounce back. We'll wait for NFT news. I think that's what you got to wait for that one. Let's keep going. Let's go to the next one up here. CLII. What do you think about this, Chris? Starting to make a nice little push here.
Yeah, CLII making a nice move. Remember, that's charging infrastructure, EV Go. That vote is actually next week, Mitch, so the 29th. So I think we're starting to see some movement going into that merger vote. And, I think this is another one. It could be perfect timing, right? Because we have the merger vote, and we also still have some EV and infrastructure, bills being passed. If all that happens at once, you're going to see EV stocks really get some love, and it could be perfect timing for EV Go here.
Definitely something that we're going to be paying attention to, and it has been coming on up multiple times. For a while, you saw ChargePoint take a lead there and really make a move. Now you're seeing this play. That's kind of like the laggard effect. You start seeing the industry overall just really start taking up. So let's go ahead and let's keep moving. Let's see what we got up next. One that I want to talk about today. Let's take a look here. CCIV did get that Jim Cramer pump. Let's see if it can continue through the resistance. The resistance is 28. I know that's on a lot of people's radars, so we'll see if this can get through that level. I think really I'm still waiting to hear kind of the announcement of the vote, and I think that's what really pushes it through that kind of period that we've been in this sideways consolidation. So if that can happen, I think definitely keep an eye on it. All right, let's keep going to another one here. I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's talk about this one. I haven't seen this one up in a little while, and it is under 10 here. AACQ. What's up with this, Chris?
Yeah, so AACQ, that merger was approved. It's going to start trading as ORGN probably next week. We did see that dip there, right? Going into the merger vote date. This is one where I'm a little bit cautionary about, because some of these sustainable, plays, they're a couple years away from big revenue. They've also been targeted by short reports, right? We saw some of these companies, really get hit on short reports. So I would be careful with this one. I think we see a little bit of a dip next week. And then, once it gets through that period, we should see over $10. But I think we're going to dip first before we hit that again.
I just read something in the chat that I couldn't keep a straight face on.
Are you laughing at Casey?
Yeah, I had to laugh at that.
Yeah.
We always get these random comments in the chat that just have nothing to do with what Chris and I were talking about, but it just sometimes they get to me. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, hail Papa Elon!
You know what, guys? Smash the like. All hail Papa Elon. Let's get some likes. We're having fun on this show.
That's what it's about.
We're bringing you, what's moving, why it's moving, and we're gonna, talk about some that are on, our list going forward. So, Mitch, you want to dive into some of these SPACs here?
I'll work myself in here. Let's take a look at FRX. What are you thinking here? We're starting to get a lift. When do we get the change over to body? Has it been announced today?
No, so that'll be next week, I believe, either Friday or next week, if that is approved. But this is one, right? And I've got some notes here, but FRX, I mean, you go from having the name Forest Road and FRX to having the name, Beachbody and I believe BODY. That's a huge move. And this is a well-known brand, right? So the past couple SPACs that have had well-known brands and decent, tickers, I guess I would say, we had Weed Maps, MAPS. We had 23andMe with ticker ME, even BarkBox, ticker BARK. That one shot up to like 14. It has come back down. But I really think once this changes over to body and gets, that well-known brand out there, I really think this one is due for a rip. And I do own shares of FRX. I've been in this one for a long time, dating back to the units, based on that management team of 3 former Disney executives. And again, Beachbody, Mixed Fitness, which is going to be a possible rival to Peloton, but really, it's cheaper, and it's all about that ecosystem, right, Mitch? When we had Carl on the show, it's all about ecosystem. You can pay 1 monthly fee and get access to, workout videos, a connected bike and videos you can watch while you're on the bike, a nutrition, a supplement program, right? I mean, 1 monthly price and you're going to get all this stuff. Beachbody, it has this huge membership base that now they can cross promote to. You take those millions of people who are already doing Beachbody workouts, and now you tell them, hey, we also have this connected bike and we're going to offer it to you, at a cheaper price and part of your monthly membership. I think the bike is just going to sell itself. I mean, I like FRX here. I think that changeover body, rips next week.
Definitely. I'm going to be keeping a watch on this one. We're hearing multiple people in the chat, supporting FRX. One of the things that I definitely say, looks like someone's saying it's Monday, the ticker change. We'll take a look and just kind of confirm that in a little bit. But, definitely keep it on watch. One of the things is it did get a run up before this, and then it kind of just cracked down. But I think that had to do is partly with the market kind of turnaround. And now we're getting right back up there. Now the big question to me is holding kind of these pullbacks and getting through that $11 price point, because once we get through 11, you start getting some clear skies up to 12, and then after 12 it really does get you some clear sky. There's actually a gap up here that it gapped from about 1227 up there towards 14. Really, I want to see this one start moving and getting volume like we did on this big pop. We got 5.61 million shares traded there. Yesterday, we got 2.45 million shares traded. Let's get it. It's okay to have a sideways day. It's all good. If this even comes closer towards this level, the key is holding that 1038s on pullbacks today. If it can kind of keep going and trending on up, making what? Higher lows. That's what you want to see. The stock closing higher, and then getting up towards that level. I think this one could get ripping, and that's FRX. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things that I have seen is I do think that you're going to start seeing kind of a move into kind of like what you normally see at the beginning of the year in January, the new year workout kind of plan. And this is the new year pandemic kind of plan. That's what I'm thinking you're going to see. You're going to start seeing people be like, this is the pandemic's over and this is the new me. I'm getting my body on, getting that beach body working. So
yeah, I mean, when you think about it, Mitch, right, we see all these travel stocks up, right? We see pent-up demand for travel. People want to go on cruises. They want to go on vacation. The other thing that also supports that is talk about all the weddings, right? We saw so many weddings delayed during the pandemic. Now you're going to see, tons of weddings, right? Post-pandemic, because you can invite all your friends and family. And what do weddings also mean? People want to be in shape. They want to look good for the weddings, right? They want to be in shape for these vacations. So I think that's spot on, that this summer people are going to be working out, and whether that's at home or at a gym, I mean, it just supports this thesis on body even more.
Yep. Let's go ahead and let's get to one that's mentioned in the chat here. People asking solar. That's a great question. I wonder what's the answer to that. Let's go ahead and take a look here. Talking about Payoneer and why is it at 1050s? So let's take a look. Let's see what we see here. But one of the things that you do see is a strengthening of these candles, right? So one of the things is like we saw the same kind of candle, right, in FRX. Let's say you just had this and you didn't see that new stuff, right? So let me go ahead and take off the banner there so you don't think this is FRX there. So you got that push up there, right? And then it went sideways at 10, tried to shake people out right here when it cracked 10. That's called a shakeout candle right there. It's not much that you're going down there. You went down there, 10 cents on a $10 stock. You're talking less than probably like a 1% move there, 1.2% move to be exact. And so that the kind of shakeout a lot of times will shake out retail traders, and then all of a sudden the institutionals pick it up. And so you see this big candle pop back out. That's a good looking sign because this is a bullish engulfing candle, and it actually closes. And if you look at this body, what does it do? It covers all this whole area. So that shows strength in that area. That shows that there was some buying through that range, and now it pulled back towards kind of that support that happened here at 10, didn't break the 10 and reverse right back up. So it's looking good. It's starting to trend up. The biggest thing you want to see is this volume get back up to spiking. We got right here 6 million shares traded, right? That caused that spike. Then we got to pull back into these levels where I think institutionals were adding in here 2.6 million, 2.4 million, and 2.6 million. To me, that shows someone averaging down there big. And so what they were trying to go ahead and get as close towards that $10 look on the average and see if it can start popping on up there. Now that you got up towards the 1050, a lot of times what you're going to see them look for is that next level up holding kind of the 1025. So you see how this body closes at 1025. Now let's start seeing if the body can close above 1050. That's what you got. You got 2 wicks above 1050. Now today you got above 1050, and now you're pulling back right underneath it. Look for a little curve back to the close and see if you can hold that 1050. That gives it a better look, and then it starts looking for a push up there towards 11. All right, let's go ahead. Let's go into another stock that you got, Chris. What other stock do you want to get into now?
Yeah, let's go to sports betting, right? We talked about this earlier this week. We had the big news then, Canada, right? So Canada has approved single sports betting, and there's going to be several winners from that. And in the SPAC world, I think the biggest winner is DraftKings, DKNG, and GENI, right? GENI, Genius Sports. So Canada, its population would make it the 7th largest state in the U.S., I believe. So right now, you look at the states that have legalized online sports betting. Michigan's one of the bigger ones, and we have, I think, the 10th or 11th largest population. So as far as top 10 states go, not many of them have legalized online sports betting. So then you look at Canada, and it's essentially the 7th largest state by size, and that whole country now has access to online sports betting. You're going to see these sports betting companies want to tackle Canada, right? And DraftKings already has access there. They have daily fantasy playing. They have some partnerships. They have a partnership with the NFL to be the official daily fantasy partner. They have customers, and they're going to be able to market to those customers now. And Genius Sports, right? As more sports betting companies launch in Canada, they need data. Genius Sports provides the data, right? Genius wins every time a new state or a new company launches. That's how it works. They have that data that companies need. So I think GENI is a great way to play this. And, so yeah, people throwing out some other names. So Penn, Penn National, I don't know how big Canada is going to be for them. MGM, I do actually like BetMGM, and they actually signed a deal with Wayne Gretzky not too long ago to be the face of their BetMGM brand, which I think is going to be
spin it off, man. Spin it
they
off.
need to. That's exactly. If BetMGM was a separate company, I would buy shares right now. I've used BetMGM's platform. They have huge market share in the states they're in. They're growing in Michigan. Not many are growing here in Michigan. They're taking share from Barstool. I mean, that's just the way it is for BetMGM. They're taking share from Barstool. The other big one is Score, SCR. It's not a SPAC, but Score Media is huge in Canada. They have a partnership with Penn National. They're 5% owned by Penn National. That's another one that I own and that I'm looking at here, Score Media and Gaming. But as far as SPACs go, DraftKings, I got to stick with the leader. They actually have partnerships in Canada. They're going to be able to launch. And then if you just want to play the whole Canada market, I still think GENI, Genius Sports, is the best way to go. What do you think, Mitch? Canada sports betting, what do you think of the market here?
Well, first things first, I want to point out that DraftKings held that 50 that we talked about yesterday. It was going to be so important for it to hold because it kind of had made that bounce back, cleared the gap, went up to the gap, and it actually held the gap. That's what's important now. Not at least, let's take a look here at the overall market. I mean, you could take a look. One of the things that we've been seeing, and I think that you're going to start seeing, is that these plays are cyclical a lot of the times. And I think even the announcements are cyclical themselves. A lot of times what you're going to see is that in summertime, I think you're going to see gambling stocks go down. I think it's just going to be a cyclical kind of stock where you see that kind of pull down in kind of going into the summer. But going into fall is really when sports kind of get hot, right? We get the NFL to come out. You kind of get the baseball playoffs to come. Then next thing you know, boom, basketball starting up again. And that's how it is, And so we're going to be paying attention to see how that affects these companies. Now in Canada is all really about hockey, right? I mean, right? So we can think about hockey, right? And that's why I think you see SCR do so well. One of the things that they do really well is hockey coverage. So I think, definitely keep your eyes on that one. And also keep in mind, who has the partnerships with the NHL? Who has partnerships with NHL teams? Maybe that can help them really get a lift in Canada. Like, there's some big hockey teams, the Montreal Canadiens. You're going to start seeing who supports them might be the one that their fans end up using. So that's what I wanted to bring up. Me always trying to find the story in it. To me, that's the story. Find the fans, what the fans like, and then follow that to see if it kind of follows throughout the whole country, because the word of mouth will start moving. And I think that's what really you're going to see in Canada.
Definitely. I want to hit on two here quick, Mitch, before I know you've got a couple you're watching. So we hit on CCIV a little bit. Yesterday, CEO Peter Rawlinson was on CNBC. He discussed, their factory in Arizona. They're on track to deliver to customers by the end of the year. So here you have a couple catalysts, right? You have Lucid Motors has not set a vote date. That's one catalyst, right? When they announced the vote date for the merger, and then two, they haven't done deliveries yet. When they actually announce those first deliveries later this year, I think shares go higher. So the other thing they talked about yesterday was reservation numbers. So back in February, they had 7,500 reservations of its Lucid Air, which was $650 million in sales. Yesterday, Lucid said that they have over 10,000 reservations for the Air. So that's a significant jump. And, before people jump out and say, hey, that's only 10,000 reservations, Tesla sells way more cars than that. The stat that I saw from Electric is that in the summer of 2012, before Tesla delivered the Model S, it had 12,000 reservations. So again, remember, when Tesla hadn't sold a car yet, they had 12,000 reservations. Here you have Lucid, who's going after a higher priced vehicle. They haven't delivered a car yet, They have 10,000 reservations. That's a pretty similar line there, in the sand. So the other thing is CCIV. I mean, Mitch has pointed it out on the chart, right? We keep holding that $25 line here. Also volume, right? If you look at volume on CCIV, it's still insane, right? Yesterday, 13.3 million shares traded. That was the highest of any SPAC out there. So you had SPACs that announced deals yesterday, had rumors yesterday, and yet CCIV was the leader by volume. I mean, people continue to trade this thing, which makes me think, hey, when we get the date, when we get the orders, filled and the deliveries, I just see this thing going higher. And I do own shares, full disclosure, but CCIV, it's all about deliveries here, right? And when they deliver the vehicle, they get that date. I just think interest in this name is going to pick up again. What do you think, Mitch?
I definitely do think at the end of the day, I mean, the interest is there. I saw the other day people putting up pictures of a Lucid Air that was driving around California.
On the street, yep.
Yeah, I saw that one. And so that's what you want to see kind of more of, really, right? Because let's compare it to a company that's struggling. Bill out there, ride. We'll bring up a ride again, right? So you see those prototypes, but a lot of times you see those prototypes in special events, not just driving down the street, right? And so that's what I want to see more of. I don't want to see kind of prototype talk. I want to see more of everyday driving, everyday kind of people just that have access to it and are using it to, I'm sure they're collecting data, and that's why Lucid is allowing them to drive around. But that's what I want to see. I don't want to hear about you going to an endurance competition and not being able to make it to the finish line. That's not what I want to hear, because at the end of the day, I mean, how many people are using that endurance truck to go into a competition like that, right? Perfect example. So I want to see people using this on an everyday basis, showing it off. Another thing, artist. Chris, I'm telling you, influencers are what's going to drive these. What drove Tesla? Elon, Papi Elon.
Yeah, Papa Elon.
Papa Elon. You already know that's what really made it rocket. I mean, you need that kind of face behind a company to really make it lift off. And that's why I feel CCIV still needs something behind them, because I don't think their CEO does it to me. Their CEO just doesn't really just kick it out the water for me. Yes, they have experience, but they're not exciting people. They're not like on Twitter talking like about Elon. To the moon. They're not Elon. I mean, we got to be honest here, right? And so definitely. With that being said, maybe they need something like that. I've talked about it now. Like, let's get some influencers. Let's get this into some music videos or something like that. I think that's what really can get it going and get it on everyone's radar versus just the people that know about Lucid Motors and want the stock to go up. I'm talking actual car fanatics all behind this vehicle because it's around everywhere. That's the kind of thing that I want to see. Maybe you see some big names really start taking it and then also saying that they're taking it over a Tesla. I think that would be an important decision.
The comparison. That's a key there. That's a good point.
Yeah, because I mean, if you hear like the people that have the money to buy the Lucid Air and to buy
which one are you going to pick? Yeah,
which one would you really take? If I lined them up right next to each other, gave you the keys, and I said, turn one on and take it for a ride, it's yours.
Yeah, and then it comes down to who is CCIV? Who are they going to win? Are they going to win from existing EV customers? Like you're discussing here, Mitch, or are they going to win from, people who have never owned an EV before? They're obviously going to get some of both, but which one's going to be more important? And I think that's a key there, and especially as they get some lower priced models, because right now with the higher priced Air, they're going after people who most likely already own a luxury EV. So interesting comments there. The other one I want to hit on quick, Mitch, is PSTH. I did see someone in the chat asking about it. So yesterday they held their analyst day. I said during the show I was going to go back and watch that. So holy cow, over 100 slides, 3 hours long, including a Q&A session. So these are my key points. And again, this deal is so complicated, the structure of it. They tried to break it down the best they could, but essentially it's based on the current rate. So if you own 100 PSTH shares, right now you would get 64 shares of UMG, Universal Music Group, and that rate could change later on. So they highlighted the growth of music, right? So music as a service, could be similar to a software as a service model here. And owning streaming, if you subscribe to a streaming service like Spotify or others, it's actually cheaper than a movie or TV streaming platform like Netflix, right? So they said that music has a lower subscription cost. Then Universal has 32% market share versus 16% for rival Warner, more than or around double the revenue that Warner had. A couple other exciting things, during this presentation. Mitch, he said the magic words, right? NFTs. So Bill Ackman yesterday saying that music could be the ideal art form for NFTs, that they could transform the music industry. So you think about all the artists, right? And Mitch is showing some of them there, all the artists that Universal has, and now you throw NFTs into the mix. Obviously, there's some upside there that, might not be priced in. The other thing is Universal Music shares, they're going to list on the New York Stock Exchange Euronext in Amsterdam. Now, Ackman actually said yesterday that he's talked to the New York Stock Exchange, and they are game to have UMG shares listed in the U.S. Now, that, of course, will be up to the board of directors, but it sounds like Ackman wants these shares to list in the U.S., which I think would actually help them, trade higher. He also said that maybe a dividend could be paid in the future. And then he also said that he wanted to buy more of Universal Music. PSTH getting 10%. He tried to get more like 18%. And he said he plans on buying more in the future. So there's another catalyst, right? Throwing that out there. And then aside from that, you're also going to get the RemainCo, which is going to have $1.5 billion for an additional deal. And based on Ackman's comments yesterday, it sounds like they're already in talks with a company that they had talked to before to land a deal. So I'm actually starting to circle back for PSTH. We're at 23 now. This is traded at $34 earlier. That Universal Music, I think, is a strong brand going forward. And I like his comments yesterday, Mitch. So I actually was pretty pleased by this analyst day from Bill Ackman.
Definitely. I think you got some good news out of it for sure. I mean, multiple things that were talked about there that we could talk about. And for sure, I mean, NFT, I mean, you have to say that artists are probably one of the best ways that's definitely going to keep moving on. I think I've heard of multiple ways that they could definitely be used. And I think if there's any way I've heard of the blockchain really being used well, it's definitely looking towards artists and kind of music. So look towards that to continue growing. I think that's the only way you kind of continue moving up, because if you think about it, artists has been struggling as of late. I think in the last 10 years to really make money based off of their music themselves. They mostly make money off of kind of advertisements and promotions, and that's where they're making their money. Really, it's not necessarily on, let's say, making an album. Albums are gotten to the point where it just they get downloaded, right? I mean, you're not buying the album a lot of the times now, and so I think this is the move that can continue to bring up the artist and bring some revenue back to the artist. So I think that's going to be a focus. And I mean, artists want to make some more money, of course. So they're going to definitely try to figure out ways to continue moving into NFTs. I think the record labels themselves are going to do this. And so you're looking at some of these artist names, and I mean, can you really have better names? I mean, they definitely lead in so many different genres. It's not just one genre. You're talking Carrie Underwood now. I mean, there's just so much. And then that's what I like that they do, is that they're not just in one genre. Let's say like if it was like a just a kind of a rap label and it just had rap artists under it, but this has everybody. I mean, Luke, Brian, I mean, you got country, you got rap, you got hip hop. You're gonna have you got Stevie Wonder rights. You got Bob Marley rights.
You've got all the decades covered, right? I mean, you saw Queen, you saw the Beatles, you saw Stevie Wonder. So you got classics, and you got some of the best-selling artists of today, right? So you're talking decades. I mean, that's huge. I am starting to love this play. Mitch, we only got a couple
Oh,
minutes
your
left.
favorite, Chris, Lana Del Rey.
Yeah, right. The Beatles, I mean, that was nice to see. They're one of my favorites, and Queen too. But Mitch, we only got a couple minutes left because I talked too long.
Man.
What are you watching out there? What SPACs, before we wrap today?
Well, I can tell you, I don't want to leave. I've been having fun today with Chris and enjoying it with
Smash
our chat.
like.
Everybody's having
show.
a good time. Mitch, did you just bring back albums? Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm probably the only one that's probably buying some albums. I like to get some records, guys. I still play records. I'm an oldies type of guy. I definitely play my records, and I have my Bob Marley, my Pink Floyds, my Jimi Hendrix. But let's get off of that subject. Top 3 here SPACs that I'm watching right now, guys. First things up, MP, because it's been doing a pullback, now pushing up today. And that's kind of what I wanted to see, that quick push up right back up there. I think this one can start attempting to get through that 36 and really start getting through 40s. Once it gets through 40s, I think you're overall looking towards 50 by the end of kind of the start of the next year. I think this is what you see continue moving on up. One of the things that you did see is this stock did do an offering around this 41, 42 price point. So when you get up towards that level, look for some overhead supply to start selling into that, because they probably got stuck there. So they're probably looking for an out. So maybe look for that to hit you some resistance. But after that level, I think you can get up there towards that 50. Next one up I'd talk about would be GENI. We talked about it a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to go too far into this one. You guys know, full disclosure, I am long in this one. The only stock I think I've ever had and ever said on this show that I would possibly hold this one forever. I don't think I've ever said that about any stock. And I mean, the reason why, guys, is I just feel like at the end of the day, they're going to continue developing. And I think that offering that you saw, there's 2 types of times where you see offerings happen. One is because the company actually needs to grow and it needs the money to go ahead and like kind of invest in servers and different ways that can continue being the leader in their data. That's what they're trying to do. At least that's what I think they're trying to use the money here for. And then there's other times where you'll see offering when a stock is going through the moon and they just feel that they can get investors and get that investment into the company. Perfect example we've been seeing, just was mentioned yesterday, AMC trying to raise money again. Perfect example, just to kind of explain like a different type of offering. The offerings in companies that are looking strong and actually looking to continue using that money for growth is a good idea. It does hurt some shareholder dilution, and that's why you want to be and making sure that you're getting in on supports so that when you get these big pullbacks, you're at least near these levels. And now I'm sitting in here around 845 averaged in. And now it's trading at 1940s. I'm looking for a rip through 20s. My first profit would be up there towards 22, but really I'm looking probably to hold this one at least for a year hold, get the tax advantage, because I think this one's going to break through that 25. All right, last one I want to talk about is DMS. DMS, guys, it's 12 o'clock, so I got to wrap this one up quick. Digital Media Solutions. We talked about a company a little bit earlier talking about advertisement. Look how this one's been holding that $10 price point and really holding well, even though a lot of kind of SPACs came down all the way back down. Let's say maybe this one would have come back down towards these levels where it kind of broke out of. It went from a kind of a 732 price point all the way up to 15. The high was 1527. Now we've pulled back towards this 950 multiple times, really starting to push up. I want to see if this one can get through 11. 11 is going to be that price point that could get me long in this one, and I could probably ride it on up there towards the 15. We'll see if this one continues moving. Of course, programmatic advertisement doing really well. And I think that you're going to continue to see companies like this, Digital Media Solutions. What does that sound like to you guys? There's solutions to really trying to get your targeted advertisement out there, whether it be kind of in mobile apps, whether it be in streaming services, or even TV for that call. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. This is a DSPAC, DMS, Digital Media Solutions, and I think this one could start ripping. They had a great day already. I mean, 5.73%. So we'll keep this one on radar. Anything else you want to mention, Chris?
Mitch, I got to tell you, I just got word that we can go a couple minutes longer today. That Power Hour team not ready to go live yet. So
play that rocket.
So
Play that, Rocky.
drop those tickers in the chat, guys. Let's try to get through a couple real fast here. We're going overtime. So up first, I see TPGY. This is another charging infrastructure play. Merging with EV Box. They're one of the leaders in Europe. Mitch, what do you think of this chart, TPGY? I mean, this thing has come down tremendously here. I'm not in love with it, but I do like that they're a leader in Europe, and they also have that catalyst of coming to the U.S.
Sneaky. That's what I'll say about this stock. Reason why I'm saying it's sneaky is because it actually filled the gap. Up. You remember how it had this gap up here? It came back down, filling it on the downside. That's what you want to see a lot of the times when a stock has a gap on the chart. You see how right here on the 19th, we actually filled that gap down towards that level. Now we're starting to come up above that, bounce in that level, like kind of get stuck in this channel. You want to let it really start pushing back out with some good volume. Same kind of volume you saw on that day where it got towards that gap down. That's those institutions, guys. I'll tell you, I'm not 100% sure, so don't kill me. Don't come after me. But I think those are the sneaky institutionals. They understand how those gap downs kind of work and how you can go off of that level and look for a quick, almost immediate bounce back. And look how you got that back up there towards the 13. They could have already been taking some profit, but we'll see if they could kind of get some big volume adds down by the level that they got in. They got in somewhere, I think, the high on this candle is 1290, low is 11. So you got to think maybe 1125s around that level is what I'm looking for it to come back down to and bounce off of. So we have this level right here, this 1150. Let's see if it already kind of touched it once. Let's see if it comes back towards that level again, and then we get strong through the 1250s. That's what I would be looking for in this stock. Getting up there towards the 14s. You want to see shares trading over a 1 million mark. This stock averagely trades around 400 to about 500 to 700,000 shares. Get it over that million mark. Get a nice volume spike through that level, and then it can keep moving.
I'm seeing someone in the chat, Nate, mentioned NAUT. This is one that's on my list to do more research on. This is Nautilus Bio. It went public. They are backed by Jeff Bezos. For anyone who watches the show, biotech, not my specialty. So I got to do some more dive into this one. This one, though, if you pull that chart back, Mitch, I mean, that thing spiked all the way up to $26 on deal announcement, or possibly after the deal announcement even. So this is an interesting one. And again, I got to do some more deep dive into what they're really focused on. Obviously, Jeff Bezos being involved is a big name, but not sure. Charlie in the chat, can either of you give us a definite home run in the next 30 days?
Yeah. Just hold on a second. Let me throw it up for me.
I would play in baseball if I could
hit you a home run. I just got you one.
If I could give you a definite home run, maybe you should be following my Euro 2020 picks right now if you were looking for definite home runs, because more of those have been home runs lately.
Boom.
Or Ohtani hitting home runs for the Angels right now. He's pitching, he's batting, he's doing it all. Charlie, how about you come back to the show tomorrow? Mitch, tomorrow we're going to talk about some companies that have announced deals and may be ready to rip. Again, they're not guaranteed home runs, but they might
rip. You a home run.
Mitch, did you hear that? I told them come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about deals tomorrow that could run. SPACs that have announced deals or have rumors that we think could trade higher. So not necessarily home runs, but we'll at least hit some doubles and triples tomorrow. How about that, Mitch?
I'll pitch it to you, Chris. You already know I'm going to be setting it up here. Got the magic fingers working.
All right, guys, we went a little extra. Please smash that like. We're almost to 100. We had a fun show today. Great time. Come back tomorrow. We'll do more ticker time tomorrow. And as I said, Mitch and I will be talking some of the SPACs with deals that we really like out there. So come back tomorrow and stay tuned for Power Hour coming up next.
Coming up next, the Power Hour. Don't miss it, guys. Yesterday, they had on Playboy. Find out. It moved. Could have been based off that interview. Find out next. You guys, hit us up in the comments below. What do you guys want to see more of? What do you want to see less of? That's what it's all about. It's about you guys.